Hey guys, I'm back. I got cold sores, and my nose is a little bit weird. So if I randomly pause it to go get a tissue, forgive me. And I have white stuff on my lip because I have cold sores. So um, we're gonna get through this though. My hair is a little bit crazy, so I'm gonna wear a hat just because I just showered, so it's gonna be weird. Um, yeah. Anyway, so I've been reading in Samuel, First Samuel, as you guys know. So a lot of these, um, just kind of come. I share that because they just kind of come to mind. So in First Samuel chapter 28, there's King Saul after he's done chasing David, because David goes to the Philistines for shelter, which you know it works. But Saul stops chasing David, and the Philistines are planning a big attack against Israel. So like Israel's here, Philistines are here, and Saul is right here, and he's looking, and he sees all the Philistines, and he's worried. He doesn't know what to do, so he consults God, the one who he has repeatedly swept under the rug and thrown out of his life, and just a ton of things. He's trying to consult that God, um, and to his surprise, there's no response, no response. And if you remember, God gave David to Saul in some way, to help calm his anxiety when he gets worked up, because there's a spirit of like unrest upon Saul sometimes. And David would play his harp, because David is charming, or he has gifts, and that would calm Saul down. Um, Saul doesn't have that no more, and I'm bringing that up because I doesn't say it, but I'm saying I think this might play a small role in what he does here. Anyway, so Saul doesn't know what to do. He sees those armies of the Philistines, and he gets nervous. He tries to talk to God, but God doesn't respond because Saul has not cared too much in the past about what God has to say unless it concerns him. So, yeah, okay, so that's the setup. So, Saul, in his brilliance, in his kingship, uh, had just, and this is a good thing, but he had just banned and made illegal mediums and people who consult spirits and all that. Right? That's a good thing. But Saul, in his anxiety and unrest and not knowing what to do, is goes to a couple of his servants, and he's like, "Find me one," and they're like, "There is one." In verse 7, then Saul said to his servants, "Find me a woman who's a medium, that I may go to her and inquire of her." And his servants said to him, "In fact, there is a woman who is a medium at Endor." So they go to Endor, which is this is if the Lord's not responding to Saul, his next brilliant idea is to do something that he knows the Lord isn't gonna like, which is just anyway. So Saul goes to the I've heard it referred to as the Witch of Endor, which I think is kind of funny. But so he goes to this witch, this medium or whatever, and he's disguised so that she doesn't know who he is. He's disguised. He is his servant. He has two servants with him. They're disguised. Um, and he goes up to this lady, because I think he's embarrassed, to be honest with you. I would be too if I was doing something like this. But he goes to this lady, and she's like, "Don't you know that King Saul's made this illegal?" And then he's like, "I promise, nothing's gonna happen to you." And so she does it, which she didn't really put up that much of an argument. So this is something that she loves, I guess. And what he says is, I want you to conjure up the spirit of dead Samuel, which, because Samuel had just died, um, yeah, he had just died chapter or two ago. Well, anyway, so the lady, yeah, in chapter 28 he died, and this is, did I just lose my spot? No, not chapter 28. I don't know, but Samuel died. So Saul wants to talk to Samuel. And this medium is like, she does it, but she's surprised by the fact that she was able to do it, you know? It says that the spirit of Samuel came up from the ground, because I think that's because at this point Jesus hadn't taken the gates or taken the keys, and he hadn't died on the cross. So I'm assuming people were going to Abraham's bosom, which is something set apart from hell, which is now part of hell. Yeah, it's a little bit confused, but that would explain why he didn't, ascend. But anyway, so Samuel comes up, and I've heard a lot of arguments whether this is actually the ghost of Samuel, and I guess I'm open to hear that change, but I'm gonna argue from the point of the authority of the word. And if the word says it is Samuel, it's the ghost of Samuel. And the fact that this lady is a little bit surprised by the fact that she brought a ghost up, I'm going to say it's something that was granted by God for the purposes of speaking to Saul right here. That's just where I'm at. Anyway, so this lady brings up the ghost of Samuel. She's really surprised. She's like, "You tricked me, you're Saul." And Saul, he's like... he basically just says, "Tell me what you see and tell me what's going on." So Saul and Samuel have this small conversation, and it says, Then Samuel said, "So why do you ask me? Seeing the Lord has departed from you and has come upon your enemy, and the Lord has done for himself as he spoke by me. For the Lord has torn the kingdom out from your hand and given it to your neighbor David," who Saul was trying to kill, by the way, repeatedly, after being spared by David repeatedly, "because you did not obey the voice of the Lord, nor execute his fierce wrath upon Amalek," which is something that happened earlier. Saul was told to go in there and get rid of everything, but he did not, and he spared the ruler and brought him with, and then he took all the livestock, all the, stuff, because he wanted to make a sacrifice to the Lord. So he did something against the Lord's will on purpose, and yeah, and so that's I don't know. So Samuel's referring to that because that's when the Lord said that he was not going to bless him anymore. All right, so therefore the Lord has done this thing to you this day. Moreover, the Lord will also deliver Israel with you into the hands of the Philistines. And tomorrow, you and your sons will be with me. The Lord will also deliver the army of Israel into the hand of the Philistines. So Saul just got told that his army, because of his constant disobedience, his army tomorrow and him are going to be delivered in the hands of the Philistines, which is basically a death sentence, because he says he's going to be with him tomorrow. So Saul's pretty shaken up. He has this whole dramatic moment where he falls to the ground, he's weak, and they're trying to convince him to eat, and then they eventually do, and the witch cooks him a meal, and then they go on their way. But the reason this is almost 10 minutes, the reason I wanted to talk about this is because too often in our society too, because there's a lot of outlets in our world now, but too often in our world we see problems that we have, and as Christians too. Like I'm talking specifically as people who are followers of Christ and people who claim to follow God. we see problems in our lives come up. We see struggles. Maybe it's finances. My family knows about that a little bit, but maybe they struggle finances or social pressure for teenagers. There's all these different issues that kind of push us into corners, and we go to God, but God doesn't respond immediately or in the way that we want, you know. So we immediately start looking for something else, for another outlet. Saul went to the ghost of dead Samuel, expecting to hear, this is very clever of you, probably, here's what you should do. And that did not happen. He received quite the opposite. This was very stupid of you. You disobeyed again. But I don't know. Yeah, so maybe it's social pressure, and we instead of trying to get closer to the Lord to see what He has to say about who we are, we start to change our appearance, how we present ourselves. We mess with who we are, instead of trying to figure out who we should be in God's eyes and finding comfort in that, or maybe we make a irresponsible financial decision because we feel pressured in the moment, and we don't try to sit and hear what God wants us to do with our finances. There's these different things that can impact how we man. Sorry, I'm struggling to find the words. Don't go to other outlets other than God. He might not answer immediately or in the way we want, but if you seek Him, and if you pursue answers from Him in time, He will give it to you. And part of that might come from reading the Word. So you're gonna have to do work. You're gonna have to intentionally try to hear from Him. So read your Word. That's how He's spoken to me. Majority, like all the times He has, that's how He has spoken to me. Even reading this, like I'll read something and I'll just get an idea, and that's what I share on here. But just don't go to other outlets. Stay focused on God. That's the only sure way to I don't know, I'm blanking, but at the end of the day, His followers are gonna have eternal life, eternal joy, eternal peace, eternal. All the fruits of the Spirit are gonna be like so amplified, in eternity, and we're gonna be doing it, spending it with the God that we love. So start becoming dependent on Him, and He'll. If you trust Him, He'll trust you in different ways, and He'll show you how faithful He can be if you give Him the chances. Anyway, I'm gonna end it here. Thanks for listening, guys. This was a longer one. I spent too long going over the story. I just thought it's an interesting story. But bye.